FedEx full, we commanding the block. Burgundy and gold, got the city on lock. Hustling plays, they don't need to pretend. DC reppin' strong and we fight to the end. Commanders moving, no breaks, no pause. Hands in the dirt, respecting the call. K-Dot in the mid, dissect the grind. District divider with city in mind. Join the damn squad, don't miss a bit. And you gotta spread the word, so shit is shit. K-Dot.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast. More specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is K-Dot. This episode is about JD5 speaking at Fanatics Fest alongside Dan Marino and Joe Montana. We're going to give our thoughts on some of the answers that he gave. We've got a draft room, of course, but it's named after a legend. We're going to talk about that to begin the show. And we're going to touch on Kevin Sheehan on his show, talking about the new uniforms, the old uniforms become the new uniforms potentially, or something along those lines. And so we're going to give our reactions to that. Comment mailbag, as we always do. Before we begin this episode, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and K-Dot.
Nothing's popping, just vibes, and just wait. 72 years till 72 years. God damn, it feels like it. 72 days until we storm that gate. Jayden on stage with the legends they praise. Montana Marino, he's built for these days. Face of the league. Y'all feel that hit? You know the call. Now share it, shit.
Share this shit. We greatly appreciate you guys as always, and sharing it allows us to grow as well. So we appreciate it. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the newly named draft rooms. First things first, we got to honor Bobby Beathard. That's what the team has done by naming the draft room after him. For those that don't know the name Bobby Beathard, if you're a bit younger, he was a general manager for the Washington Redskins and a legend. Best in team history from 1978 to 1988, won a couple of Super Bowls with the team as the general manager as well. Pretty awesome move by the team. They brought family members in to be able to see it, and there was clearly a lot of emotion over there. And so it was very, very well received. I think it's an awesome gesture. K-Dot, your reaction to this?
He's one of the GOATs as far as GMs, period. I mean, everybody knows, like, if you're talking about who's the most responsible for those 3 Super Bowls, I think everybody would say chief primarily would be Joe Gibbs. But then if you're really looking at it, I mean, unless you want to like name the Hogs as a group or whatever, and that kind of changes over time, the second guy you probably say that made the team what it is Bobby Beathard. And like, he won 2 Super Bowls with us, but he leaves in 1990 to go to San Diego. And you're gonna give him credit for the 91 team too. I mean, he built that shit. And then you look at even before that, he was the a director of pro personnel or something in Miami, where they went undefeated in 72. So
won a couple with them also.
Right. So he's about 4 Super Bowls, GM extraordinaire, always kept the team in the loop. And it's that combination of Bobby Beathard and Joe Gibbs that allows you to do something like win 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks is what it is you're doing with the rest of that team. And he had it in spades. And I mean, even if you talk about like when he goes to San Diego afterwards and what he was able to do there and the guys that he drafted and some of the dudes that came through San Diego, the Junior Seau's and stuff. I mean, shit, they made a championship in 94. So like it's dude has had success everywhere he went. And he's always been just, I know every time that I'm like talking to my dad or talking to somebody else and they talk about like the golden era, it's a countdown before Bobby Beathard's name was brought up. He's one of those dudes. And of course, when he got inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, none other than our guy, Joe Gibbs, is the one who inducted him. So like that to me is everything you need to know. If you don't know who Bobby Beathard is, if you're too young to know what Bobby Beathard is, if your name is Amit and you only know him because you were trying to do the team history, do more.
No, I knew who Bobby Beathard was even before the team history research, which, of course, hey, Tony, sooner than you think, bud. But just want to say that it also must be very cool so Bobby's got a few kids, but one, Jeff, is a national scout on the team right now. So for this to happen while he's on the team and to be able to see his dad's name, I think is very, very cool. Some of the names of players that Bobby drafted: Art Monk, Darrell Green, Russ Grimm, Mark May, Gary Clark. I mean, Dexter Manley. He's got some pretty nice names and some legends on the team that, once again, I had heard of before doing this team history episode, which sooner than you think, Tony. But yeah, an absolute legend of the organization. And I think just a classy move. Any other thoughts here, K-Dot, before we move on to our quarterback speaking at Fanatics Fest?
I wish his grandson, CJ Beathard, was a better quarterback.
I remember seeing CJ when he started for the 49ers one game or came in relief one time. And I was just like, it's got to be his grandson. And then looked it up and he is. Yeah.
When I see the name, I mean, you see Bobby Beathard's name in passing, but once you look at his name and you read it beat hard for the first time, you never see it again. You never see it any other way. So it stands out.
Quick 20 seconds on CJ Beathard and how he won me a lot of money. So the Jaguars were playing against, I think it was the Dolphins or something like that. And it was week 13. So just before the fantasy playoffs, I need this bye in the worst way. Okay. And I've got, funnily enough, Brandon McManus as my kicker. I just need one more field goal. And CJ Beathard comes in relief for Trevor Lawrence. It was that Monday night game. I still don't remember who they were playing, but he marches them down the field, fumbles, recovers it himself. They end up kicking this field goal. I get the bye. I would have been murdered in the wild card round, go on to win the fantasy championship. So CJ Beathard played a very, very big part in that for me. Appreciate
December
that.
4th, 2023. Beathard took over in the fourth quarter against the Cincinnati Bengals. After starter Trevor Lawrence injured his ankle. He led the Jaguars down the field with less than 2:30 left in the fourth quarter, leading to a game-time 40-year-old field goal with 26 seconds left.
That's the one. That's the one. Shout out, bud. Shout out. All right.
And then he was released by the Jaguars unceremoniously.
Because he did what he needed to do. He did what he needed to do. So slightly different from Bobby Beathard. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to our quarterback who, knock on wood, we never release. We never trade. We never do anything of the sort because he is awesome. Jayden Daniels was at Fanatics Fest alongside Dan Marino and Joe Montana, which was an awesome panel. Taylor Rooks facilitated that. There was another panel with like Peyton, Eli, Kay Adams, and then there was CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, and Caleb Williams. That one was so-so. It was sort of like the Peyton Eli show. This was fabulous. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought Taylor did a really nice job. And the insights that Dan and Joe gave into their careers and then their interactions with Jayden were super cool. So it's a 45-minute video. If you guys have not seen it, we'll put a link to it in our description. But K-Dot, your takeaways from anything on this panel, and it could be specific to Jayden, of course, but even beyond that as well.
Few thoughts. Number one, when you do click the video, fast forward to 7 minutes in.
That 8-minute mark.
Jesus Christ. I'm just sitting there waiting.
Good safety tip.
Beyond that, hearing Joe Montana talk about anything is always my favorite. He is Joe Cool for a fucking reason. I mean, his stories are just legendary. The one about Dwight Clark and the catch, great. All that shit, just great. I love Joe, fucking love Joe. And then, of course, like, you talk about Joe, you talk about Dan. Outside of the modern era, when you like Tom Brady, universally, he's the greatest of all time. Anybody wants to debate that, debate with yourself. Having Joe and having Dan, then like arguably 2 top 5 quarterbacks all the time. One, the greatest that never won a Super Bowl. The other one, arguably until Tom took over, was the greatest. And our guy sitting next to them too. And when you saw everyone was there. It could have been Caleb on that stage. It could have been CJ Stroud on that stage. It could have been Payne or Eli on that bucket. Could have been anybody. Who would they pick? JD5. That is a lot. That's a lot to tell you about what it is that, and it's not even like the league necessarily. It's what Fanatics say. Fanatics wants to move product. And when they want to move product, they want to get good names around other good names and make sure that it sticks. So what that means as far as Jayden and where he is and where he's going in this league being, like I said in that rhyme, the face of the league to a certain degree. I mean, that's what we're facing right now. And to see the poise in which he carries himself, that he can still joke around and have humor, still be humble, but still confident in his humbleness is just a wonderful, wonderful combination. It just, seeing him next to those two was a holy shit moment for me. And like, is that my quarterback? What the fuck? Then outside of those things, just on a Jayden man-to-man personal level, just, brother, I know Mom Dukes keeps things under wraps. The fact that you can maintain eye contact with Taylor Rooks, bravo, sir. Like the fact that you can still maintain and have that conversation with Taylor sitting right there. I mean, that's my quarterback. He got poise. Like he's concentrated. When the game's on the line, he knows what he's doing. Like
so it all made sense for you all of a sudden.
Made sense for me. I mean, if I'm up there on that stage, I'm a bubble wubba double double. I sound like Shannon Sharp at that motherfucker. Like I don't know what I do.
Poise was one of the things that he did discuss alongside Joe Montana and Dan Marino. And it was really cool to hear Jayden talk about how when others, your demeanor immediately gets picked up by your teammates, which makes sense. Like that's something that I think a lot of people know. But to have the self-awareness at his age, right? Because in the other panel, you hear Peyton and Eli talk about it. And you hear about, and Joe Montana talks about it. Jayden was the one that talked about it on his, and CJ talked about it on his panel as well. But those are like, they're all good, right? Like that was a big takeaway for me, was his self-awareness and understanding of, it is important to be able to be calm, to be stoic, to not ride that roller coaster and just stay steady the whole time, because it makes it that much easier to be able to perform and have your teammates rock with you in comeback moments, because he had so many last season. It was also neat to be able to have him share a stage with Joe specifically, because his dad made him like Joe Montana as a kid. He watched Joe Montana as a kid over and over to understand what it is to be calm, cool, and collected. So that was a very neat moment. And then talking about Deebo Samuel, they did manage to fit in a question about Deebo. Thankfully, not Terry. So once again, Taylor, great job just keeping it nice and easy for everybody. But with the Deebo Samuel question, he lit up. He was excited about what he's going to bring to the offense. The idea of a screen pass that can go 80 yards for a touchdown, and he didn't do any of the work, was very appealing to him. So it was cool to be able to see him light up and go, oh man, Deebo, he's a very good football player. So that's music to Commanders fans' ears for sure. Certainly music to my ears, K-Dot.
Oh, no doubt, especially considering what the play he's talking about, which would not be necessarily a route run other than turning around, catch the football and run. That's
a great play by a wide receiver too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Weapon X. Got it. Athlete.
100%.
Athlete. That's what they were calling that, right? Athlete. Yeah, got it. Elite athlete. There was also another pickup that I had with it was when they were talking about just the they went through this portion where it was just like the love of the game, the love of being quarterback, like why you love the position to a certain degree. You hear Joe talk about like, hey, having the football in your hands every play, there's nothing like it. It's just like to be a part of it, to have the camaraderie with the guys X, Y, and Z. But then when it was Jayden's turn to talk, he went straight to, I need the pressure. Like I want, like he's Joe, like when it's the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl and you need to go. That's where Jayden's head's at. And that's the thing is like, to me, when you see what he did his rookie season, Mr. Clutch, we got our guy. Like it's just every time I see Jayden, it just reinforces the fact that I love who we have at quarterback. And like, I just feel lucky. I feel lucky that we have him. And once again, you're always waiting for that moment, right? You're waiting for the moment that he puts his foot in his mouth. You're waiting for that moment that he has a bad game. And it's none of it's coming just yet. And it's just like, all right, let's just keep riding this fucking wave, I guess. But once again, keeping everything schmedium and level added and just go through. And I just think that we've got a guy who has poise at a level at which is very hard to come by. I mean, if you look at the last, like, how many years of football, I really do think the two guys that I've seen with the most poise is probably him and Burrow. Got to be an LSU thing. Even Tom gets a little outside of himself, like at times, right? Yeah. Peyton, absolutely. Just he never seemed calm. It's just that when you have that, and I think it's very rare to come by when it's like the bullets are flying, who's the guy that just knows, hey, Montana, legendary in that realm. And you see Jayden with that mold of Montana more than anybody else. That to me is just, it speaks volumes that like we got the right guy, and I am so excited about what the future is.
Also, the way he presented himself, he's very good with the media, Jayden, obviously, but like the way that he presents his confidence, he like picks his moments to be able to be confident with them. And so when they were reading, or when Taylor was reading Joe Montana's stats at the Super Bowl, right? 110 attempts or 122 attempts, one of those numbers, without an interception. Yeah. And Jayden's like, man, that's crazy. And she goes, Jayden, what do you think of that? He's like, yeah, I'd like to be able to do that. So we'll see. You know, and so it's a very little like, oh, I want to go to Medi. Like, you know, that's a way to say that, right? And so he he projects that confidence. When Dan Marino is talking about being able to run like Jayden, and Jayden just taps him on the leg, goes, no, don't worry about it. You can leave it to me. I'll do that. I'll do that. We'll do that. Thanks for paving the way for us. We appreciate everything you've
Let
done.
me handle that for you.
It's a very playful but confident, like, he wasn't like, oh my God, Dan, yeah, it would be amazing. Like he's ribbing him a little bit too, and just knows where he stands. Also, while being respectful to that, I just think he handles himself very, very well. And this was another example of that.
Oh, no doubt. No notes. Dude he is truly special in every fucking sense of it.
Yeah. He did also get asked which corner was toughest to face this past season. Very smartly did not answer that, and instead looked forward and also picked one in the AFC. Which was very, very smart. He picks Pat Surtain. You cannot train this kid any better, man. He picked Pat Surtain, who is Defensive Player of the Year. So a hell of a pick with the Denver Broncos. It's going to be a Sunday night game.
And the game I have circled.
That's the game you have circled. Very much looking forward to that matchup because I do think that is elite on elite.
It's going to be a fun one.
That's just going to be electric. Because someone tried to throw out Quinyon Mitchell. He's like, that's a good shout. So like not starting anything at the same time, but also not, if he had picked Quinyon and then we have to go twice a year over and over and over and over.
Hear that soundbite. We're already going to hear the Pat Surtain soundbite, but
for sure.
Best he could. And it was the ultimate respect. You picked the Defensive Player of the Year. That's a competitive thing to do. It wasn't calling out. It's you're the best and I want to play against the best. It's a wonderful chess move. Like that's good media training. Yeah. Shout out Mom, man. Shout out Mom. She does a great fucking job amongst all other things, man. That's just shout out.
Huge fan of Mama Jayden. Absolutely. So
that vein, keep Stephon Diggs the fuck away from here. And good job with Taylor Rooks.
Yeah. And the final little bit, just in reference to the side piece team, he was asked best offensive lineman he's played with or favorite offensive lineman he's played with. He did say Will Campbell from LSU, who now is with the New England Patriots, and then shouted out the entire Commanders offensive line as we head into this coming season. Once again, with Laramie Tunsil at left tackle, Josh Connerly presumably at right tackle, and hopefully Sam Cosby back soon enough alongside Alec Reddy and Biotish and the boys. And I'm looking forward to the season already, man. 72 days, thankfully not years, but it feels like years, K-Dot. Any other thoughts over here on Jayden's appearance with Fanatics Fest, or any other thoughts on Joe and Dan?
If you're a betting man, I also do want to say, shout out to Fanatics on their betting side. They do have this thing called fair play. So like even during the NBA Finals Game 7, when as you know, I was extremely sad to see Tyrese Halliburton go down. They gave everybody a refund that had them on legs of it. So they take care of people. In other things when it comes to Fanatics, Jesus Christ, will you step up your jersey game, because these fucking products you guys are selling are shit. Well, there's no reason the South Korean knockoff should be better, but they are at this point.
It's a pretty smooth transition to Jersey talk, so why don't we go ahead and move over to that? There's one more thing I want to say about Joe. I'll save that for later. But Kevin Sheehan on his show did say that he has it on good authority that the old uniforms are being worked on at providing them an avenue to come back.
Right.
And we would get that traditional look that we've had for quite some time. Now, K-Dot, for me, when I first heard this, I was like, okay, that's cool. And I was like, but I don't really care about uniform stuff like that. Then I saw the thumbnail that you put together, and I just saw Jayden rocking what he was rocking, and I was like, oh no, it turns out I care a lot. That looks sick. So my reaction is it would be awesome to have the old uniforms back. Your reaction?
I just want better uniforms we have right now. So like I'm not the debate about the Commander's name. I've grown to love the Commander's name to a certain degree, at least with all the success we've had over the course of last season. And I'm one that when you have things like the Bobby Beathard Draft Room, and there's so much, the way the team is doing such a better job than anything in the Snyder era as far as reaching back into the history and making sure that they pay the proper homage and proper respect to guys. That's all I need as far as ties from the old team. On the jersey or uniform side, the only thing I would say is that I've grown to, I love the black jerseys. I love our black uniforms. I dig everything about them. I think they're just cool. I've always hated the white uniforms. I just hate our away uniforms.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan. And the burgundy ones, I look at them and just think there's an upgrade there. So like I do care about the uniforms that I'm watching. Like I want other guys to look good and be able to feel confident and for it to exude a certain level of I just think certain teams with their uniforms can just exude a certain level of something. And I don't even know exactly what it would be, but it's just, the special ones when you see them. And I do think our uniforms over the course of the years, I haven't loved every incarnation of the Redskins uniforms over the course of years. I haven't. I definitely got my favorites compared to others. The throwback, really dark burgundy with like the leather looking helmet. I fucking hate that shit. I hate it. I've never liked that. I know a lot of people love the spear, the 70th anniversary ones. I was lukewarm on them. I like certain aspects of it, but I'm not necessarily sold. And I can be sold. Do I think it's an upgrade over the shit that we have now? Probably in every uniform except the black one. And the thing with the black one, it doesn't really feel that tied to the Commanders as much as just a cool thing to wear. But yeah, if they bring back like my favorite actually of the is the yellow helmet Vince Lombardi bit that they did, and I love the burgundy pants across all lines. My favorite incarnation of our uniform is probably the 75th anniversary, which even the white one had it was a lot of burgundy and a lot of gold and a lot of the burgundy. I know I have my Chris Cooley jersey to set, but with the yellow helmet there, I just think that there are absolute variations from the past that you could pull in and not be problematic. And just look better than they look right now. That's my whole thing. As far as making sure that they have to go back to the history for whatever, I'm not as sold on that as much as I just want a uniform I like.
John Keim went on with JP Finley and Brian Mitchell, and we love John. Worship John, etc. He very rarely gives his opinion on something. So it's all fact, and he's so focused on that. And he goes, well, what happens? We'll see. This is what, I think, but I'm not sure. When it came to the uniforms, he actually was quite clear. He said, I thought it was a huge mistake when they changed the uniforms as much as they did, because it completely severed the tie from the past.
I agree.
They have worked very, very hard since to be able to reestablish that. Heck, even the Bobby Beathard Draft Room is an example of that.
Yeah.
So when he said that, and he also said he's a Cleveland Guardians fan, and he said, but we didn't change the uniforms. The look was still the same. You guys, because remember, he's from Ohio, right? So he just covers the team. But he said, what you guys did is change the look. And so therefore it changed the feel. People didn't feel like it was their team anymore. That's how you get that expansion feel to it. So coming back with that point in mind, the old uniforms are very important, right? Some sort of variation of that, because it does bring back that sense of history that comes with it.
Yeah.
The name being problematic is totally understood. Racist, understood. So, but the look is much more important than I had even given it credit for, is what I wanted to say with that point that John Keim, I think, beautifully made when he was on with Finley and B. Mitch there.
I don't disagree with that. And I once again, when we talk about like what aspects of the past to bring into the future, I totally get that. And it was a part of me that when I knew that we were doing the name change, you remember Washington football team stuff started rolling out. It was just us, but it said Washington on it. It was like, okay. And then they start rolling out the really new shit. And it's just like, I was disappointed just because I didn't like it. So like, I get the thought process as far as bringing stuff in from the history. And once again, I do think across almost all lines, except for one uniform in particular, are an upgrade over what we have now. So if it satiates a certain portion of the fan base that have been upset or angry about the departure from the last incarnation or from the history of our team, and this makes them more bought in, I'm all for it. And I just go back. I just want them to look better.
That's fair. I do too. Any final thoughts here before we move to the comment mailbag?
When we had the Redskins last few seasons, did you have a favorite combo as far as like shirt, pant?
Not really. And so like for me, that's why I didn't care about the look until I heard John Keim explain it. Because for me, a jersey is I just wanted the team to be good. And so like I never was one that when a jersey came out, I'm also an Arsenal fan, right? And they have any number of jerseys that come out, especially in Europe. They do it all the time.
Right.
I'm not buying every single year. I'll buy one and be like, I got an Arsenal jersey. And after a few years, I'll be like, okay, I'll get another one. But like, I've never really cared that much about the look. Once I saw your mock-up of Jayden wearing it and heard Keim's thoughts on it, was like, oh, okay. So very long-winded explanation of why I don't have a favorite.
Yeah.
But I just enjoyed the burgundy and gold on a Sunday with the logo that we had. I was with it. That's it.
When they brought the burgundy pants to go, the gold pants to go with the burgundy jerseys, which is not something we've historically done, right? But I'm huge fan. Love it. Loved it better than any combination of the burgundy jerseys and white pants. I hate burgundy on burgundy. I hate the white on white. So that's what I'm saying is like, there are things they can pull in, but trust me, I could be just as upset. Like, depending on what this combination of stuff that they do. Just because they go into the past does not mean I'll be a happy camper, is all I'm saying.
That's fair. And one thing I think we can have some trust and faith in is that Josh Harris so far is swinging a hot bat. And so we can be cautiously optimistic that this is also going to end up being a good thing, right? Whatever they choose for the uniforms.
No doubt.
But it sounds like it's going to.
I can't wait to buy South Korean knockoff or whatever the new version is that they get.
Because we're not going to Fanatics as we discussed.
Dog, they gotta step their game up. Now they got you do understand Fanatics has like exclusivity with all of the fucking So it's not like you can run the models and just grab some fucking shit anymore. It's not. You gotta go through Fanatics. And I think like EA and Madden, they got lazy.
But even I was looking online at like baseball jerseys.
Yeah.
South Koreans are killing it with their jerseys. It's now preferred to the American-made jersey.
That's what's happening. This would
like
happen,
if they were
man.
offered at the same price, they would take the South Korean one. They're like, we just like this one.
Look, it's the problem with capitalism. Look, the thing that people think capitalism has is that like a company does well, so they will do better, right? And they keep doing better by their customers, whatever. No, they do good. They monopolize the market, and they do shit.
And then you just keep shopping legs.
Right. Fuck.
That's how the consumer wins.
Just do better.
It's your quick economic lesson here on District Divided. Any other thoughts here, K-Dot, before we go to the comment mailbag?
No, I mean, one more thought before we go to the comment mailbag. But yeah, I'm ready to do that.
Oh, yeah. Well, go ahead and give the thought. Yeah.
Sign him.
I have the same thought. Sign him. And we will. I'm still at a 0.
Fucking do it.
I'm at a 0 out of 10 still, K-Dot. I'm at a 0 out of 10.
You know what I like more than New Jersey? Terry signed.
He's going to be signed. Like,
just do it.
A little behind the curtain. We were going through the quick rundown of topics, and then K-Dot flashes Terry. I'm like, come on.
Until it's over, sign him.
We are going to sign him. Rich Eisen even said so. He had a video on Jayden Daniels estimated numbers.
What the fuck does Rich know? Sign him.
He's been working with the NFL or on NFL related content for decades.
I love Rich. I saw him run. I'm not taking anything from him on that. I want to hear his commentary on things. I want to know whether or not he thinks
he's like, hey, it's gonna get done.
I hope so. I think everybody's on it. Yeah, I get it. Oh, also shout out to Kyle Brandt who was at the Fanatics thing. We have like a funny crossover that I won't get into, but I know about that at least. Yeah,
we're gonna sign Terry. Do you want to place a guess on the date that he signs? How about that?
By next week, I'll come up with something.
Okay, sounds good.
If they don't sign him, which they should sign him.
They're going to. And with that, we go to the comment mailbag featuring an intro from our very own Nikki.
Comment mailbag time, motherfuckers. District divided, ain't got time for no suckers. Spread the word, get in line. OGs and new G's, it's your time. And spread the gospel, cause this shit is divine. Yeah.
All right. Thank you as always for that intro, Nikki. We've only got the 5 comments, K-Dot, for this
quick
one,
episode.
Which is a quick episode. We could do a quick after the pod, in fact. And so with that, we begin with Coach Lombard. Shout out Coach Lombard. Now, mind you, or a reminder, I cannot speak today. This was the Commanders training camp date announcement along with our side piece teams. Okay. And as a reminder, it's 7 wins or fewer. So if you still want to chime in with yours, you can. 7 wins or fewer from last season that you think is going to do well this season. K-Dot picked the Las Vegas Raiders. I picked the New England Patriots. Coach Lombard goes, I like the Raiders. I like Geno Smith, and I am a huge Chip Kelly fan. That makes sense. Which gets me in trouble in the Delaware Valley. Great pick. Geno Smith has top 10 deep ball accuracy between the numbers and is arguably a top 10 quarterback. So that's a vote of confidence there, K-Dot, in the Las Vegas Raiders. Your reaction?
Coach, I think we're on the same page as far as this. I will not praise Chip Kelly with the
it's all caps. Huge Chip Kelly.
Won't do that. Also, I shouldn't say that. Yeah, that'll get me in trouble. Never mind. All right, look, this is our pot, and we do whatever we want to here. Everyone has their own Twitter profiles and accounts, so they can say whatever they want to there. Coach, you've done a lot of tweeting. It ain't necessarily all been about football. And when I hear that praise about Chip Kelly, you're kind of painting a picture that I don't love. But it's like, but rock on, brother. Like, do your thing. Just keep most of that shit off our page, but do your thing.
You guys.
And he's done a great job. Coach has done great with that. He's done great.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, no, 100%. But God damn, you letting that shit fly, Coach.
You guys love the Raiders. Coach and K-Dot with the Raiders. We go to Vindo. Yeah. Raiders plus 7.5 is a must, bro. They really got something with those 10s and Genty. I don't like the Chip Kelly move. Could be their downfall, but like playing the AFC South, they could make things interesting. NFC team is the Cardinals solely because of Kyler, and they play the Cowboys in Dallas, so you know he finna go off. That is true. Kyler Murray, I think, is still undefeated in the state of Texas, which is like a crazy stat because he played high school football there. He just literally never lost a game.
That's pretty dope.
So hopefully that means that the Cardinals will go into Arlington, Texas, and beat the Dallas Cowboys. That'd be great. So Vindo's got an NFC team in the Cardinals and also likes the Raiders to win more than 7.5 games there. K-Dot, your reaction?
I'm with you. The Cardinals feel like they should be better. Like I like Kyler Murray. And Marvin Harrison Jr., now the year under his belt. Trey McBride's a dude. Maybe people don't understand or notice because they play in Arizona, so nobody really paying attention. But he's a dude. So like they've got some interesting things, especially in that division. Like you got a shot. Like there's not one of those teams in that division who I think runs roughshod over any of the other teams in that division. Like as of right now, anyway. And as far as the Raiders, I mean, you guys know how I feel about the Raiders. I really do. I like everything the Raiders have done, and I don't think people understand in my personal life what it is a momentous thing for me to pick the Raiders.
Yeah,
rooting for.
They certainly don't get that. I'll also say I still think it's tough. I mean, like that division is just so daunting. But like you said, and like you painted last week, you know, they have made a number of really, really nice moves. And we go over to the Nathan Perry, who goes, the national media is with K-Dot and standing the Raiders. It's a trap. Mm-hmm. Never pick the media favorite to turn things around. Silly superstitions aside, the AFC West is one of the toughest divisions in football. Chiefs remain a strong team, and the Broncos and Chargers look set to compete. With the 7-win stipulation, I think you should expect a big improvement in the win column for the 49ers. Without it, though, I think the Falcons will be a surprise team. A lot to react to there. K-Dot, your reaction first.
I'm with Nathan across all lines. I understand. Now, I have not seen the Raiders media darling stuff like maybe Nathan has seen. I've seen people just liking the moves they made this offseason, which is something that I do. It's like you just look at paper and be like,
right, that
feels very un-Raider-like, and it makes sense. And I just like what they put together. They just got fun pieces, and I love Geno Smith. As I even said, the safest pick and the pick that, like, the right answer to the question, if there was a right answer to the question, is the 49ers. Like, it should be the 49ers across all lines for everybody. Just if you look at the talent, you look at the injuries from last year, that should be the team you're putting money on if you're talking about winning more than 7 games or improving over the win total of last year. It's just the thing that makes sense, but it's the unsexiest thing you could say. It's just not sexy.
Yeah, which I would have roasted Kate out for, which we talked about last week.
Exactly. And just for clarification, when I was talking about last time as far as the division, I was still talking about the Cardinals and the NFC West being a division. Okay. I don't think anybody's going to run a rough shot. The AFC West is It is a tough division football argument. The AFC North is usually divided, but whatever's happening with Pittsburgh and whatever's happening in Cleveland, they are not in the conversation right now. So the AFC West, as long as they got Harbaugh down in LA, I know some people are not sold on Herbert as much, especially after talking to you and Rio. But I might still be high on Herbert, but I trust Harbaugh, and I like what he did last year, what they had, and they got another year under the belt. Denver, I fucking hate Sean Payton. But Lord knows if it ain't fun watching Bo Nix play football. And on defense, they just got guys. They got guys. They just got dudes. The defense is scary. Kansas City, as long as Patrick Mahomes is back there, they will forever be my. You want to know who I'm picking to win the Super Bowl this year? Kansas City, and I will every year until I can absolutely see something otherwise, right? And even knowing what it is who's going to Philadelphia, fuck them. Kansas City every year. That's my pick.
I don't know. I might have already seen something otherwise over here. We'll see. I'm looking forward to bold predictions. Speaking of bold predictions, listen, the Atlanta Falcons, I almost thought if they had 7 wins, they were definitely a team I was going to look at.
I would re-up with them.
Which means I would not be allowed to. Michael Penix is going to be so good this year. I mean, I think he is going to be so good. He gets the entire offseason. I'm also biased because I was very, very high on him coming into the last draft. But just his connection, this is fantasy advice, by the way. Get Drake London. Like in every league possible. That is free advice. You're going to make a lot of money if you're playing in leagues, man. Because their connection, look at Drake London's numbers when it's just Michael Penix. It's crazy. Like
London was like a top 2 or 3 receiver, I think.
Yeah.
The rest of the season.
Yeah. And he'll end up being drafted as like a wide receiver 11 or 12, maybe even beyond that. Even there, I think he's great value. I just think the Falcons have done some nice things, and I think Penix is going to make a huge leap this coming season.
After we do our fantasy draft and I select Kyle Pitts again, I need you next time you see me smack the shit out of me.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I will say, Michael Penix, I love the letter he penned before the draft. That was awesome, right? And I do like certain aspects of Michael Penix' game. I don't hate him as a player. But I will say my favorite thing that he did was there was a video, I think CBS did it a few months back at this point, but it was him and somebody, I forget who it was, but it was like Black Restaurant Week and they're sitting down at a diner and they're eating. And the guy who's sitting across is another NFL player, I just can't remember who it was putting ketchup on his grits. And he saw how he put ketchup on his eggs and ketchup on his steak, ketchup on his rice. And the disgust at which Penix looked at him. I love you, Mike. Stop these fools from putting ketchup on everything, man. Like, it made no goddamn sense. Like, are you 4? You want everything to taste like red sugar water? Like, what the fuck is your problem? Stop using ketchup on shit. It don't make sense.
Dude, yeah. Penix is an awesome guy. By all accounts, he's an awesome guy. And I think he's going to have a great year. So we'll see.
Like I said,
I'm excited for that.
He's going to have a shot. You're talking about black quarterback, white quarterback, Atlanta. We know who's getting picked.
We go, the guy that can move. We go to Trey 87.
You heard Kirk's re-up for NFL Netflix quarterback, right?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that. I was like, again, oh boy,
let's go.
You know what we're gonna get? We're gonna get a lot of people be like, oh man, he won on Monday night and he got pulled unfairly, and I'm gonna be like, no, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
No, I will say Kirk played some of the worst football I've seen in a while at the quarterback position. But I say he was hurt. He's old and he was hurt. And if he's healthy, I don't hate him depending on the offense I'm running.
I feel like I think he's a good quarterback. I just think that the ceiling.
Do you think he's still a good quarterback?
I'm not sure, but it's year 2 off of the Achilles.
Yeah.
Which is supposed to be a much, much better year.
100%.
We'll see with Rodgers as well. Cousins, they're basically on a quite similar timeline, actually. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, if Kirk gets the chance to play somewhere, if he ends up getting moved or released, or heck, he stays in Atlanta and Penix gets banged up and then he comes back in, I think he could still be good. But it's just that ceiling, which was why I didn't want him to be like my quarterback. I just don't like that ceiling. But that's where you and I think, have the philosophical difference that we've discussed.
No, I can say if JJ, which I don't expect, struggles, I'd expect Kirk back in the purple.
Oh, interesting. Okay. We'll have a bold predictions episode as well. We go to Trey 87-99. Shout out. Run block was ass. It's better now, and B-Rob will have a better year if healthy. So the offensive line's ability to run block is also something that you and I differ on right now. So you do not have faith in their ability to run block. I do have faith in their ability to be better, much better at run blocking than they were last season. So we're going to end up seeing what happens over there. K-Dot, your reaction.
This is the way I put it. There is no evidence right now to suggest the run blocking is going to be significantly different than it was last year. I would say that if you wanted to look at a positivity aspect, they're year 2 in an offense. Deebo Samuel adding another element to what it is they can do in the short game might loosen up the front just a little bit to allow for better lanes than they have had. While Laramie Tunsil is not known for run blocking, he would not be considered one of the top run blockers. Same thing with Connerly coming out of, or he's not known necessarily for his run blocking. But I would say the talent of both of those guys are better than the talent we had in this building last year. The talent has improved. It's just, if you were to ask me, do I feel more confident that we're going to be better at pass blocking? I would say emphatically yes. With run blocking, I have yet to see anything that suggests to me that they're going to be significantly better as far as running backs running the football. If I'm looking at that alone, there's nothing necessarily to suggest that to me.
So that's where I am thinking about Brandon Coleman size at left guard, for example. Being able to help with Laramie Tunsil might be able to help create a lane. That's
maybe.
Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, I think, Bill, I think is going to end up making the team and get some run. I think he's got nice vision, and I think he's going to get opportunities to be able to show that the run game can be effective. We'll see what ends up happening. I completely get where you're coming from, K-Dot, because like looking at it on paper, looking at the advanced stats, looking at how these guys have done historically run blocking, I got you. Like, I think that makes sense.
I have faith. Like, I still do. I think that the talent level is better overall, in which I do think that there's a chance. I'm just saying, if you're asking me point blank, what do I point to suggest that the run blocking will be better? I have nothing I can give you. That's it. It's like, even if you tell me the Bill is going to be great, I'd say Bill be great in despite of mediocre run blocking, right? Like, he'll find holes or be more explosive to make. So like what we were looking at the running back position this offseason was explosive guys that could make things happen regardless of what was happening with the run block, right?
Right.
To take the next level. Or like the run blocking was okay there, but B-Rob just doesn't have the closing speed to take it to the house. Like, maybe it's just enough light to let somebody who might be a little faster break something. So I'm hopeful. I'm absolutely hopeful. And I do think the offense itself will take steps in the second year. So I'm hopeful. I'm just saying there's nothing right now that I can hang my hat on. That's it. That's literally it.
No, that's fair. And also, I mean, for those that are new to the channel, K-Dot does an all 22 review after every game. And so he's able to see, were there lanes, for example? Were there rush lanes? Doesn't seem like it. So,
but it goes back to Jayden being the force that he is. And the thing that Jayden does is when you start looking at everything at the end of the season, you look at where we rank as far as rushing, I think is where everything gets thrown out of whack a bit as far as exactly what it is I saw on paper as far as pure. If we're just, once again, we're talking about pure run blocking. Do I think our run stats will be better this year? Yes. I think Deebo Samuel alone makes it that will be the case. Do I think these very, very specifically, the run blocking by the offensive line will be significantly better? I am hopeful. I don't know. I can't wait to see.
I think it will be better. And I think that even in moments where it isn't, that having a guy with vision, because we even saw it with Chris Rodriguez last season, there were people being like, hey, why doesn't he play more? Because he does have a little bit of vision and wiggle and was able to get a few more yards than the other running backs. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Eckler early on the season looked a lot more shifty than any of them. Yeah,
excellent point. Yeah, and breaking tackles and stuff like that.
Once again, I still think that's despite of the run blocking.
That's fair. That's fair. We're going to find out. 72 days away. Big Papa Grizzly goes. To round us out, I have seen this question making the rounds, and I'd love to get your perspective. Which players do you gentlemen think are going to have a make or break season? One on offense and one on defense. I'd say the obvious choice on offense is Deebo. We have all heard the pundits point out how out of shape he looks and how he had a down year last season. Heading into a contract year, I think Debo needs to have a return to form type season in order to get himself that next extension and prove to everyone that he did not give up on the game last season. On defense, I would say it'd have to be Daron Payne. Everyone has been waiting for him to get back to being the impactful player he was a few seasons ago when he got his extension. Being in a contract year could be enough motivation for him to break out again. But I think that it is a bit more than that. I think that he will need to step up and show that he can be a true leader on the defensive line now that Jonathan Allen is in Minnesota. And we have so many new faces along the line. I'm looking for Payne to take up that leader mantle and get back to being a true force in the middle of that line if he wants to stay on this team. I made both of these choices because we have no veterans signed past the 2026 season. I think Adam Peters has this set up this way in order to make sure he can pay Jayden Daniels when the time comes. If either one of these players want to remain here long-term, they are going to have top-tier seasons to ensure that they secure a bag. Even if they don't see themselves staying here, they will have to have a breakout-type season in order to get paid by someone else. That is the comment for Big Papa. So, K-Dot, over to you. A make-or-break season, one player on offense, one player on defense.
If I was looking for what my two chief guys would be, it would be those two. If I had to make those picks. But if you're looking for alternatives, I'd go, I know after what I just said about the run blocking, but I'd go B-Rob on offense in the sense of if there is a true thunder and lightning pair in the backfield, if they can really figure out who it is that's got the juice to do that for him, and B-Rob can be a hammer, and those big boys up front could just start getting a little more physical, I think that there could be things that open up, not because the run block is necessarily bad, but because we could just get a beat up on the fronts of some of these defenses that we weren't able to do, and B-Rob can hammer that shit home. I'd love to see Kyle Brandt with some angry runs over the course of the season from B-Rob.
Yeah.
Like, I'd love that shit. On defense, if I'm not looking at Daron Payne, who I think is a perfect pick because of the contract and all that shit, I'd go Marshawn Lattimore in the sense of he's healthy. He's got a lot to prove. I think he's heard what it is that people are saying. He's got to kind of get back. He's got to get to where it needs to be. And I also think the supporting cast around him is a lot better than it has been. Just purely on defense overall, I do like a lot of the aspects of the defense. So I just think it'll allow Marshawn to play better. And if he has a truly great season, I think we're in an amazing spot.
So I would have, B-Rob, Marshawn Lattimore, that's just a mind meld. That's how I would have gone. So what I'll do is I will go to a couple second-year players, one on offense, one on defense. It might be a bit too soon to call them make or break, but if we don't see shit from Ben Sinnott for the second straight year, right? Like even with Zach Ertz there, and then we're, going to move on from Zach Ertz, and it's year 3 of Ben Sinnott. He's presumably the starter. There's just not a whole lot of faith going into year 3 with Ben Sinnott. Do we draft a tight end all of a sudden? Do we look to free agency? Do we bring Zach Ertz back? Like those are suddenly conversations that we'd prefer not to have. We want Ben to be very, very good and productive this season in the passing game, both as a blocker, which he's shown he can do, and also as a receiving threat, because he is awesome at that. And he was awesome at that at Kansas State. So Ben Sinnott would be my pick outside of the other ones mentioned so far. And then on the other side, it's a bit unfair because he was hurt last season, but we've heard so much praise and excitement about Jordan McGee that if he falls flat on his face, that's going to be a letdown. I know he was like a 4th, 5th round pick, but like it is going to be a letdown for as much hype and excitement has been around his name and what it would allow. It's almost make or break for the defense because then it allows Frankie to come on the edge. Right? Like that all of a sudden gives so much flexibility to what we can do if Jordan can make it work in the middle alongside Bobby Wagner. If Bobby goes down, Jordan's able to step up. No problem. We got this. So those would be my 2 picks, K-Dot, over there.
I like the Jordan McGee pick. I just think Kane Madrano's in the way.
Well, that's the other element of it too. Like maybe, for him, then in that case, as a make or break, shit, Kane's right there. He's already boys with Ken Norton Jr. I mean, it truly might be
Jordan. Get your shit done, Mr. McGee.
Get your shit done, Mr. McGee, rooting for all these players, obviously, because
Goddamn
this
right.
is that Commanders podcast, and that is the show. This is District Divided, DC Sports Podcast, more specifically a Washington Commanders podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode where we talked about the uniforms, we talked about Jayden Daniels at Fanatics Fest, and we talked about the new draft room. Well, old draft room, but it's now named after Bobby Beathard, appropriately so. Appreciate you guys listening, and if you enjoyed the episode, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment, as you always do, and K-Dot.
It is always very important, I realize, post-breakup to make sure you're doing better than your exes. And just for a scoreboard right now, Offset, much better song than Cardi B had. Cardi B, Stephon Diggs, a little bit of Tootsie on a boat, might be a wash. Outside of that, Tiana Taylor, Iman Shumpert, Iman, just go disappear. Tiana got you beat, son. Like, you shouldn't be looking at anything she's doing. She about to be in a fucking movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. She's all over the fucking place. You fucked up, boy. You fucked up. And that shit is she.
Share this shit. We greatly appreciate you guys. And K-Dot, if you have time, we can do a very quick after the pod because it's been a minute. All right, cool. After the pod starts right now. I wanted to make one more comment on Joe Montana, but you can also continue with what you were saying.
No. You don't want me to.
Okay, well, there was a moment while I was listening to the panel where Joe, he said something that I actually found interesting, which was they were talking about pressure. I think Dan Marino actually answered the question. He's like, you know what? Like, in pressure moments, it's exciting. That's where you want to be, stuff like that. And Joe, that it goes to him. And I think to echo what you said, I just love hearing Joe at these things. Like, he's great to listen to. The Dwight Clark thing was hilarious, where he was like, if you were a brother, it would have hit you in the chest. That was so funny, and it felt so out of left field. He hesitated. Should I go? I'm going for it. I'm Joe Montana. Say it, which was great. But talking about pressure, he's like, well, there is a moment, right, where you recognize how high stakes something can be, but you don't have to take that on.
Right.
And it was such a like, oh yeah, I guess you don't. Like, there's so many, I think, assumptions we make in life. It's like, oh, okay, big test. You have to do, like, it's very important. You have to do this. You have to do that. You have to do that. Big game. You got to feel pressure. You don't have to. You can just choose not to.
Right.
And it really is like, you sit with that and you're like, what do you mean you just choose? And he's like, yeah, just, you don't have to do that. It's such a subtlety, but it's so good. And I think speaks to the genius of the guy. Was a 3rd round pick, but like clearly one of the most clutch quarterbacks ever, never threw a pick in a Super Bowl. So clearly something to it. Like, I just really appreciated that from Joe. And the camera was only on him at that time, but I'm sure Jayden was sitting there like, well, yeah, no shit. Like,
they're like, don't look at Taylor. Don't look at Taylor. Don't look at Taylor. Don't look at Taylor. No, look, Joe I'm a huge NFL films nerd. I love the America's Game shit. I wish they did more of that stuff. I think that, like, as the years gone on, we're getting less and less of that good fucking historical content. And I was always pissed because when I was a kid and we'd watch all these historic videos from like the 70s and it's now been 20 years since my childhood. Why can't I get the rosy colored fucking film of these teams and shit from when I was little? I want to see that shit. But I always loved Joe and the stories, like him making the phone call on the sideline to his wife. Like, there's just so many things about it. But the reason that concept of like, it doesn't have to be, is so foreign to most people is because guys like Joe, they're fairly rare. The ones that like, there's a balance between, like, everybody knows you got a high pressure situation. They tell you to treat it routine, treat it like it's any other thing. And I think there's a fake it till you make it aspect, but in the back of your head, this is different. and it seeps through all the time. This is different. Then you have anticipation, which can be the absolute hell for most people.
I think it affects a lot of guys in the league right now.
It affects fuck the league in your life. Think about people
for sure.
Like,
oh yeah,
the motherfucker that got called on in the meeting. It's like, I didn't think I was going to get called on, and now I'm fucking freaking out, even though I prepped for this thing. It happens all the time. Anticipation can be. That's why I'm always a huge fan of just keeping shit medium. Like, it's just when the high stakes come, you can kind of treat it with the nonchalantness of everything's going to be okay. Like, everything's going to be okay. And I think there's an aspect of Jayden when I hear him talk about like his relationship with God, and I'm not a religious person by any means. I do think a certain portion of him thinks like, I've done what I can and the rest is up to God. You've heard him say that. And I think he truly believes
the Tampa game. Yeah.
Right. It's like you do what you can, and then you realize outside of your circle of control, there's nothing else you can do. And you'll work harder next time if it doesn't work out your way. But it's not something that you're in the moment going to be like, well, I got to try extra hard to do this or extra hard to do that. And that's why I love hearing Jayden talk about I love hearing Jayden talk about those big moments that he lives for. Right. And you've seen him in those big moments. He looks like Joe. Like, he's just calm. He's laughing. He's joking around. The only time I ever seen him like winded was what was the game?
Atlanta.
Was the Atlanta one? Yeah.
Yeah, where we called timeout before. Yeah.
And he was just winded because he was doing everything. Like, it was.
He ran for over 100 yards on like 60 carries. Michael Dieter's going, thank you, Jayden.
It was the Atlanta game. That was the only time. And I was purely like, dude, he's still a human being. Like, from a physicality standpoint, you can't take him so much. So yeah, overall, man, it's just when you see those guys, the ones that are just calm under fire, that's what it makes you a special breed of person. Like that. I always look at like the people that become fighter pilots, or the people that become firefighters, the people become like you run to do certain things that other people just aren't built to do. And as much as some people might think they're built to do it, when the fire's on, baby, they don't have it. So like,
right.
And I think majority of people are in a fake it till you make it standpoint. It's just not a part of who they are. And I love that Joy asked the follow-up question in the sense of, sorry, Joy, Taylor. Damn, I'm fucked up. Think about a lot of things right now. Mina,
you always use that to just get back on track as I get
it right. It writes me. Somebody who knows what they're doing is true Jewish professional. The question that they had as far as that poise and that leadership, that poise more than anything, is it inherent? Are you born with it, or do you develop it? And Jayden, it's a little bit of both. It is truly, and I believe him, it is truly a little bit of both. I think you got some guys that can fake it really, really well. I put Tom Brady in that category. I don't think Tom is a cool and collected person. I just don't. I think that I think he's always on 10. And the times you see him get into it, he's on the sideline, he's looking down. What is he doing? Those motherfuckers drafted me in the 7th round. Cocksucker motherfucker. They think I can't do it. They think I'm old. They think this and that. I don't think Jayden needs that. He's there. He doesn't need the extra chip. The greatest player of all time, Michael Jordan. He was the opposite of cool, calm, and collected, right? So, like, even if you're the best, it doesn't necessarily make you the most clutch. It doesn't necessarily make you the most poised. But I tell you right now, if you've got the poise and you give a shit, that is a combo that is generational. And when you see it, you need to pay attention to it, because those motherfuckers don't come around too often.
Right. And ours happens to be able to also just run at a lightning quick speed and be able to make good decisions. Like, it's crazy.
And nonchalantly, back to Mina Kimes, actually, because me and her were on the same page of Jayden come out of college, which is this dude runs unnecessarily. Like, he could throw the ball down the field, look to throw the ball down the field. And I tell you, we saw 1.5 weeks of that in that season, and then it went away. And then it became, I run if I want to, I run if I have to. But you could just see, I'm processing. Nothing feels too quick. The most we saw at times is like really early on in the game where he's sailing shit. And it's just like, calm down, son. Just another day. And you see him after maybe half a drive, he's locked in. And that's what you want to see. He's in his element at that point.
And even that first game where we saw it, and this is Jayden's credit here, it was against the Todd Bowles defense where he brought pressure. So like he was making it so that he's like, we are going to make him run. That was the plan.
Yep.
Right? Because we don't want him looking down the field. He's a rookie. We can make this game very simple for us. He's going to get physically exhausted and we're going to win. And they did. And then we played him the second time, and on a critical 3rd and 6, he's sliding protection. So now that blitz is taken care of. He's got a one-on-one. That's Terry. And just that growth that, and that work ethic and that calm and that poise. And yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see Jayden have the offseason that he wants. He mentioned also that he has a very strong support group. And shout out Papa Jayden, by the way, for instilling the idea that, like, hey, watch Joe Montana, right? Like, because we talk about Mama Jayden and the relationships and that level of importance, and that's real. But also, Jayden watching Joe has clearly impacted him, and that's Papa Jayden. His fingerprints all over that one, and helping him become a quarterback and stuff like that when he was a kid. So, yeah, it's just a special guy. We know
strangely enough, I never hear Joe's name mentioned enough when it comes to like influence, like who to watch. Usually got like people Jayden's age or younger are usually saying, or who molded your game. They'll be Mike Vick or maybe Aaron Rodgers for him, because I mean he's that young that Aaron could be that guy. But it's usually some of the dudes that had more flash or pop with what it is they're doing. And even if you look even before that, like I think Tom and who it is that he watched, I know Joe's on his list, but it almost felt like, I don't know if you actually watched Joe as much as you just know that's the name to say. Like when I see Jayden and the way he operates, I truly do. Because you've heard me even tell the stories last year. I remember on the pod, I was telling the story about Joe on the phone with his wife last year. And the reason I told the story was because it reminded me of what Jayden's doing. It's just, there is this like, hey, is that John Candy over there? What?
Right.
Oh, it's the final drive of the school. What the fuck is wrong with you? It's like, I thought it was John Candy. And it calms everybody down just a bit. Because you know this situation's not that big to this guy. So like when you look at everybody, and as we said, all these dudes that fake it and make it, that's 99.9% of the National Football League, or 99.9% of everywhere you've ever worked in your life. But everybody knows, everybody's had those moments where you have the person that you know you can just follow, because they got you feeling like, okay, so I just got to, if I handle what I need to do, I know this guy will take care of it. It's a great feeling. It's a great fucking feeling. And it does calm you.
It's interesting because you bring up a good point, actually. I don't hear Joe as much of an influence either. I always thought that I did, because it was actually my dad who kept telling me about Joe. So like that was his favorite player when he moved to the US from India. He was like, all right, let me see, what football's about. And he was in the Bay Area. And so he got lucky that way and saw Joe Montana. He actually hates Steve Young. And
Steve Young's my God.
Oh man. He can't stand Steve Young.
Well, that's why I also hate Jeff Garcia.
Okay, so it passes down. So you might
can't stand Jeff Garcia.
Yeah. You and my dad would just get along, man. Yeah, exactly. Because I told him, I was like, well, Dad, Steve Young won a Super Bowl. And he's like, yeah. And they gave up 2 more that they would have won with Joe. In addition to the one they won with Steve, Joe would have won that. And
just don't talk about the Kansas City years. Just stay away from that. I mean, I grew up when I was a young pup, and I was trying to annoy my family, and look at me, attention seeking, a little asshole I was. I was a 49ers fan. I was a diehard Niners fan. So Steve Young meant a lot to me, but I also knew I wasn't one of those. I respected Joe because it was like, Joe's before my time as far as like really looking at the NFL.
Right.
But I always was aware of him because, once again, I was an NFL films nerd, and like I loved that shit. And Steve Sabol, like anything that he did was fucking dope. Although they did coin America's team, which is forever just annoyance for me. It's just good shit, man. I love Jayden. Just hoping JJ doesn't make me look like a complete fucking idiot.
No, he won't. He's in such a good system. I don't think he will.
So Kirk's knocking.
Until Kirk's knocking, in which case I will roast you accordingly. But until then, you have nothing to worry about. What was I going to say? Oh, last little bit. Joe's answer being, when they asked which quarterback did you want to go up against or one up consistently, being whoever was playing for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, you should have been playing in Washington, man. Like he was answering it like he was playing for us. It was awesome.
That is one of the things. I've always had that thought experiment in my head. And I think about it like when it comes to like Theismann going down. Is what would have happened if Joe had a true Hall of Famer at quarterback?
If who did? Sorry,
Joe Gibbs.
Oh, Joe Gibbs. Oh man.
Like if Washington has Montana in the 80s, we're the 49ers.
Right.
Potentially. Because but then you also gotta look at Jerry Rice is great, and fucking Dwight Clark is great, and Fucking Ronnie Lott was the shit. Like,
Yeah,
they
but
got
we got guys.
I'm not denying it. I'm not
There's
denying
art. There's there's stuff to work with over there. And so it's having that level. I think it goes back to what Joe said, which is that if you are calm and your demeanor is relaxed and other people feed off of that, well, it unlocks their abilities in clutch moments.
Yeah.
Right. So I think if you were to almost think of it like a video game, like your players get a boost in those moments, like in certain stats, because Joe's your quarterback.
I get it. There's a part of me that just I don't know what that is. I'm so curious to see, because that's what makes, in my opinion, Joe Gibbs underrated in the greatest head coach of all time conversation, is the fact that he did with 3 different quarterbacks. Like, that to me is where you look at, like, who's doing that? Like, that's a thing. And to think that, like, you have a coach of Joe's ability, and if he had somebody like a Joe Montana playing for him, like, that to me would have been so fucking special. Like, I can only imagine the success they would have had if he had that consistency. If he had somebody that could just plug in and know, hey, we're building offense around this guy and some of these other guys, and we're just rocking it. Like, that would have been so cool.
That would have been.
So, yeah, Joe Montana in a Redskins jersey is not necessarily something I spend a lot of time thinking about, but now I won't stop thinking about it.
Well, you know what? Maybe you asked ChatGPT what that would have looked like, and we saved that answer for a very, very slow news day.
I like it. That would have kind of cool.
That would be something. What would it look like? We asked ChatGPT. But anyway, thank you guys so much for listening to the episode, and we will see you next Friday, 2 p.m. Oh, happy early 4th of July. So until then, take it easy, everybody.
Oh, shit. We're going to have a 4th of July episode.
Yeah, maybe.
Or as I like to call it, All Countries Matter Today.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.